A next-generation monster just put his hands on the most dangerous man in WWE history. A demonic force returned from the darkness. And tonight we have serious real-world news that every wrestling fan needs to hear. Raw just gave us everything: shock, horror, darkness, and breaking news all in one single night. Do not touch that screen. Welcome back, Suplex Rumble Nation. I am your host, and tonight's video is one of those episodes where I genuinely had to take a breath before hitting record because there is so much to unpack from this week's Raw that I barely know where to start. We have got Obafimi doing something that almost nobody on this roster has the physical audacity to do. We have got the demon making a return that sent chills through every single person in that arena. We have got a very serious and sobering real-world update about a member of the wrestling community. And we have the latest on Fatu, a situation that the entire WWE Universe has been following closely. This is a full, loaded, heavy-hitting episode of Suplex Rumble. Subscribe if you haven't already, smash that like button, and drop a comment right now telling me which story tonight hit you the hardest. Let's get into all of it. Let's start with the moment that had every wrestling fan dropping their jaw simultaneously because Obafimi did something on Raw this week that requires a specific kind of courage, confidence, and sheer physical belief in yourself that very few human beings on this planet actually possess. He attacked Brock Lesnar. Now let that sink in for a moment. Brock Lesnar, a man whose resume includes being a legitimate UFC heavyweight champion, a multiple-time WWE champion, a conqueror of streak-ending proportions, a man whose physical presence makes every other person on the roster look like they shrunk in the wash. That Brock Lesnar. And Obafimi, the rising, absolutely terrifying, next-generation force of nature, walked up to that mountain and decided to plant his flag right at the summit. Let's talk about who Obafimi is for anyone still getting familiar with this extraordinary talent. Obafimi is the kind of prospect that comes along once in a generation. The physical tools are almost incomprehensible: the size, the athleticism, the explosive power that seems to contradict every law of physics given how big this man is. But what separates Obafimi from just being another big guy is the confidence, the presence, the aura that walks into a room 5 seconds before his body does. On Raw, Femi made his statement in the most direct way imaginable. No prolonged stare down from a distance. No carefully worded promo from the safety of a microphone. Femi got into Brock Lesnar's personal space and made his intentions crystal clear through action. The physical exchange that followed was the kind of collision that makes the ground shake. Two generational powers of professional wrestling, one a proven, undisputed legend, the other a locomotive with a championship ceiling that may have no limit, crashing into each other with zero hesitation. What this moment accomplished on a storytelling level is enormous. Obafimi just sent a message to every single person in that locker room and every single fan watching at home: the next era of dominant, physically overwhelming superstars is no longer coming. It is here. It arrived. It has a name. And that name is Obafimi. The question now, and drop your answer in the comments, is whether this is the opening chapter of a full Lesnar vs. Femi program. Because if WWE goes all in on that collision course, every premium live event between now and WrestleMania season just became significantly more interesting. Obafimi attacking Brock Lesnar was not just a wrestling moment. It was a changing of the guard announcement delivered through impact rather than words. And I am here for every single second of it. Alright, change the energy completely. Because if Obafimi gave us adrenaline, what happened next on Raw gave us something altogether more primal. The lights went out. And when wrestling fans hear those words, when that arena drops into total darkness, there is only one question that every single person in that building and at home asks simultaneously: is it time? Red mist. Eerie, pulsating, atmospheric production that transforms a wrestling arena into something that feels genuinely otherworldly. And then the paint. The presence. The one character in all of professional wrestling who transcends the concept of a persona and becomes something that feels genuinely supernatural. The demon returned. Finn Balor's alter ego, the character that has produced some of the most visually spectacular and emotionally intense moments in recent WWE history, stepped back into the light on Raw. And the reaction from that crowd was everything you would expect and more. Let's talk about why the demon's return matters so deeply, because it is about so much more than aesthetic spectacle, although the spectacle alone is worth the price of admission. The demon represents Finn Balor operating without limitations. Without the charming, athletic, technically brilliant but ultimately approachable version of Finn that we see week to week. The demon is what happens when Finn Balor reaches a point where the stakes are so high, the opponent so formidable, or the personal investment so deep that the regular version of himself is simply not sufficient. When the demon appears, it means something is genuinely serious. The question of what specifically triggered this return is one that the Raw creative team has set up beautifully. The opponent across from the demon. The circumstances surrounding this transformation. The look on every other superstar's face at ringside when they realized what they were dealing with. Those details tell the story of where this demon chapter is headed. From a pure wrestling spectacle standpoint, the entrance, the presence, the in-ring performance that followed this was appointment television at its most theatrical and magnificent. The demon does not wrestle matches. the Demon delivers experiences. And Raw delivered that experience in full on February 23, 2026. Welcome back to the darkness, Finn. The WWE Universe has missed you desperately. I need to pause here. I need to step completely outside of the excitement of Raw for a moment because this next piece of news is not about storylines or championship matches or crowd reactions. This is about a real human being, a member of our wrestling community. Reports have emerged regarding a professional wrestler who was involved in a shooting incident. Out of respect for the individual involved, their family, and the ongoing nature of this situation, we are going to handle this with the gravity and sensitivity it absolutely deserves. Here on Suplex Rumble, we celebrate professional wrestling, but we never lose sight of the fact that behind every character, every persona, every entrance, and every finishing move, there is a real person. A person with a family. With people who love them. With a life that exists beyond the ring. The wrestling community, fans, fellow performers, promotions has a long and beautiful tradition of coming together in moments like this. Of setting aside competitive rivalries and brand loyalties to simply be human beings who care about one of their own. Our thoughts, our energy, and our sincerest well wishes go out to the individual involved, to their loved ones, and to everyone in their support system right now. We will continue to update you as more verified information becomes available. In the meantime, if you feel moved to send positive energy, kind messages, or support into the universe for this member of our community, please do so in the comments below. This is a family. The wrestling community is a family. And we show up for our family. Another serious and significant storyline that the WWE Universe has been tracking closely involves Fatu, and tonight we have an update that sheds meaningful light on where things currently stand. For anyone who needs context, Fatu's situation has been one of the more emotionally layered real-world meets storyline developments that WWE has navigated in recent memory. The line between what is kayfabe and what carries genuine human weight has been carefully and thoughtfully walked by everyone involved. Here is what we currently know based on available reporting in WWE's own communications. Fatu's status remains a developing situation. There are creative and real-world dimensions to this story that are intertwined in ways that require careful, respectful reporting. What is clear is that the WWE Universe's investment in Fatu and his journey, his character, his real-life story is deep and genuine. The updates coming out suggest that there is forward movement and that the wrestling community's continued support and attention has not gone unnoticed by those closest to this situation. We will continue to follow this story with the care and respect it deserves. Drop a comment below sharing your well wishes for Fatu, because I know this community cares, and those messages matter more than we sometimes realize. Beyond these four massive headline stories, Raw on February 23, 2026 was a genuinely stacked episode from top to bottom, and I want to make sure we honor the full card. The undercard delivered in meaningful ways. Rising stars seized their spotlight moments with the kind of performances that build careers incrementally, match by match, promo by promo. Tag team division action continued to simmer, with several teams positioning themselves for what feels like an imminent shakeup at the top of the division. The women's division delivered a segment that has major implications for the championship picture going forward, a confrontation that was equal parts physically intense and emotionally compelling. Keep your eyes on that developing situation because it is absolutely headed somewhere significant. Promo work across the board was sharp and purposeful. The writers are clearly building towards something large, and the individual threads being laid down weekly are starting to connect in ways that suggest a major payoff is coming sooner rather than later.